Islamnet is establishing a masjid and a community center. Every person who prays in this masjid, every child that memorizes the Qur'an, you will inshallah share in that reward. Donate now guys and do not delay.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters and dear friends. Our dear brother Zishan is away in Pakistan, so we are hosting the great honorable gentleman in our beloved house. So basically, today's video I was actually looking at some domestic abuse statistics. I thought, is there anything on YouTube? Does Jordan Peters talk about anything? And I came across this video of Jeremy Kyle. Okay.
Now you become followers of Peters.
Yeah, it's just a lot of facts. So I came across this video, which, should we watch it?
Yeah.
Okay, go on, let's watch it.
And I felt like she called the shots in this relationship.
Well, she locked me in the flat one day.
She locked you in the flat?
Yeah, she locked me in the flat. Obviously, me being angry, I didn't know the door was locked. I've gone over, I've grabbed the door handle, pulled it, and it's come straight off in my hands. So we're stuck on a three-storey flat, and I've had to jump off a three-storey balcony. I ripped all my back, all my legs, still not, and I ended up in hospital, you know, because she won't let me out of the house.
It's not funny, though. Can I tell you why it's not funny? And I don't want to upset any of the audience, because I completely appreciate the fact that you're here, but I'll tell you why I don't think you should laugh. If this was the other way around, and a woman was sat here, and a bloke had locked her in a flat, and she had to jump out and injured herself, you lot would not be laughing. You would be saying, he's a complete nightmare, he should be locked up, and that's disgraceful. But somehow, if it happens to a bloke, that's funny. That's not funny, is it?
What was your take on it? Because I take two things from it, but the audience reaction, his story, being locked up on the third story floor.
I actually disagree with Jeremy Kyle here, because what he was saying is that if it was the other way around. But look, I mean, there are some things which, if they were the other way around, it's not equal. Jeremy Kyle's coming at it from almost a feminist perspective, if you think about it. The assumption is that both of them are equal, okay, that a man and a woman are equal, and so whatever one does to the other, the other can do to one. But the truth is, I would say this, like, you know, in terms of domestic abuse, a man has an advantage, okay, and that is clear. No one can say a man does not have an advantage. And so to try and pretend as if a woman hitting a man is the same as a man hitting a woman in most cases, it's not. And just like I would say, a man or a woman claiming that a man hit a woman, you see. So in other words, a woman can fake a claim. Or that a woman she's more likely, according to statistics, you know, to make a claim that a man done certain things, assault her in a certain way, it could be even a sexual way, and then retract that later on. Like, for example, Warren Farron has in his book, The Myth of Male Power, the original book, at the end of his book, he had like something like a pilot study of women who had said that they had faced some, you know, sexual assault or something, and then admitted later on that that wasn't the case, that they were doing it as a measure of spite. So what it is that I feel we need to be fair. I'll give you another statistic which is kind of unequal as well in relation to the genders. And I think I saw this, it could be the NSPCC, but I could be mistaken, that the likelihood of a woman assaulting a child is greater than a man. I'm not saying it's because of whatever reason, it's just probably because the woman has more time spent with the child. Now what we're saying is not everything is equal. We should be looking as much, and I say this clearly, we should be looking as much, or even more so, at the amount of domestic abuse. And when we say that, we're talking about legitimate cases, that a man does to a woman as we do with a child and the woman. Because think about it, I mean, from a psychological perspective, if the child is being hit by his mother is teaching him how to beat up other women. Because a child that's being attacked by a woman, that woman now, she's teaching the child, if you have a conflict with your wife or with your partner, deal with it in this way, get physical. So in other words, violence is not the exclusive property of a man, neither is malevolent deception, which can really harm somebody. However, the permutations of that are different between man and woman. And so the analysis is not, okay, is the domestic abuse or the domestic violence between a man the same as a woman? No, a man has an advantage in most cases. If a man puts his hand on a woman, it's not the same as a woman putting her hand on a man. A man is more likely to be able to defend himself from a woman than a woman be able to defend himself. I mean, think about it. It's very difficult for us to sometimes as men to appreciate this. But a woman who's vulnerable and she has a much bigger and stronger man who could potentially kill her in her house with her, like a dangerous dog almost. I mean, that's a very scary prospect. But an angry woman who has a child in the house, and we've seen videos of this online, where women grabbing a baby and smashing its head and killing it, true crime stories and all these kind of things, is equally as problematic. So we need to look at this matter of domestic violence in a completely different way. So I disagree with the premise, which Kyle is implicit in Kyle's thing, which is that actually, if it was a bloke the other way, it's not the same though.
It's true, but do you think he was making that premise, or was he calling out the double standards of the feminists by saying, okay, you guys are laughing, but what if this was a woman saying, my husband locked me up on the 3rd floor, is violent towards me, and I was thinking of jumping off the 3rd floor. Would you guys be laughing? So if he's making a premise, I agree with you. We can't, because at the end of the day, they're not the same. And we know this if we look at America, for example, men's shelters. If I'm not mistaken, there are only 2 in the whole of America, and there is tens, if not hundreds, for women's shelters, which we're not denying. We're saying because it's kind of, I'm not going to say supply and demand, but if women are being abused, of course there's going to be more shelters. However, if we look at statistics as well, which Jordan Peterson talks about, women are as violent as men.
Yeah, but they're not able to afflict as much violence as men.
The only difference is that men can use lethal force, and this is what we see when it comes to suicide. Women also commit suicide, but men tend to kill themselves. So we see the disparity there. And also, for example, if I was to, I'm not going to give myself an example. If I'm not going to give you the example either. Yeah. Imagine somebody goes down the train station and takes his top off, yeah?
I've already done that.
Exactly, I don't want to give you an example, yeah? So it's not going to be as bad. And this is what one man said. He said, just imagine me, excuse me, if there's kids watching, please don't watch this, yeah? But this part, imagine you take out your private parts, yeah? It'll be outrage, but a woman can easily just go and flash her breast, and everyone, the lads just come down, woohoo, just celebrate it. Just imagine if a man did that. So the confusion here is that. Number 2, the fact that the audience laughed about it, it shows me the issue of the gender differences. It's innately built within us. Why do they find the need to laugh? I mean, would you laugh if it was one? No, it shows you that innately you know the differences, and to see a man in such a weak position be locked up by his girlfriend is a laughable matter. So that shows us the bitter truth behind us, of course, is what? That we innately, no matter how much we try to say gender is social construct, it's not. It is something that we are born with, and in many different instances, like I said before, and we'll say again, if a woman is walking down the road, and imagine I'm walking down the road with my wife and a man puts a knife out and I run away. I mean, how's she going to feel? She's going to feel vulnerable, violated. She's going to think, like, you left me at my most vulnerable moment. Would Piers Morgan, I'm sorry, Piers Morgan, would Jeremy McCall or anyone else come and say, no, that's his right? Every feminist would be like, how dare you? They would stick you on that guy. They would
I think you make a good point, and that's where the issue lies. Yes. Because, for example, if a woman put her hand on a man, and she harmed him, and this man now he's not responding because he knows if he responds, there's going to be major legal ramifications. Yeah,
exactly.
Now she can use a weapon. She can get really physical, can get harm him and stuff like that. You know what I'm trying to say? So, let's say she does that. Is the law going to see this case as it would see the opposite? It wouldn't see it like the opposite, even though, let's say, for example, the man didn't do anything here. So what I'm saying is that there's clearly a double standard that's going on. There's two kinds of claims we need to be able to differentiate. Number one, it's not the same if a man, for the most part, puts his hands on a woman. Why? Because it's true that he's stronger than the woman, and by doing so, when he puts his hand on her in a vicious way, in a way to harm her, darb mubrih mubarrah, harmful thing, which our religion has made a very clear, categorical, disallowance of, prohibition of. And the Prophet ﷺ clearly said, the darb mubarrah is not allowed, and so on, which is the harmful and the hitting of a woman. And also, there's another hadith actually quite interesting, which says that the worst of you are the ones who hit.
Okay.
The worst of you are the ones who hit. But
what if a woman is coming at you physically? I mean, coming like.
No, you can defend yourself.
Well, of course.
No, you can. But
you can't say she's weak, because it's like a weak man trying to punch a bigger guy.
No, I get it, and even the ayah in the Qur'an, وَاضْرِبُوهُنَّ. This, if someone tried to do anything more than, let's say, the symbolic gesturing in this country, and even if they did the symbolic gesturing, they're putting themselves in a position of weakness. Because if the woman is scornful and she's spiteful, she'll go to the police and maybe fabricate a story. We're seeing more and more of these cases happen, and this is what I was saying, that the main issue in these countries is false reports. That a woman comes out and says this has happened to me, and that's not happened to her, or that she started the violence herself, or that she claims that sexual assault has happened to her and she's using that as a weapon. These are the issues, and because the justice system is not built on high evidentiary bar like in Islam, where you need witnesses and all those kind of things, women can weaponize accusation.
They are.
And so, but the way this whole thing has been formulated in this country has been horrible. It's been absolutely, it's one of the worst in history I've ever seen. You know, how a woman can accuse a man, and so it's horrible.
And that's why they gave birth to the Red Pill movement, which we are against also, but it just shows you, you know, where there's an action, there's a reaction.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's it. We're going to be talking more about these gender roles and stuff, brothers and sisters. This was just our take on this matter. Tell me what you guys think. And if Muslims are watching, look, wallahi, we do these videos to help the family unit as well. Understand your power towards, like, if you're married as well, look, as a woman, a Muslim woman, it's your femininity, I'll be honest with you. And as a man, it's your masculinity, but it defines what you define as masculinity. We're not talking about, you know, becoming violent, but just find your true power within yourself. Don't try to be the opposite gender, which we're seeing today. That's it from me, Mohammed Hijab. Till next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
IslamNet is establishing a masjid and a community center. If you donate to build this masjid, Allah will inshallah build a house for you in Jannah with bricks of gold and silver. Every person who prays in this masjid, every child that memorizes the Qur'an, you will inshallah share in that reward. Donate now, guys, and do not delay.